For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is Cashing Out on VSiN, the sports betting network.
All right, welcome in. It's a new hour, Cashing Out with Joe Ceraulo, and we are all smiles coming off a 6-1 Monday in the world of sports. How about it? 2-0 on the ice, 3-0 on the diamond, 1-1 in the NBA playoffs. And I'll tell you, of the 7 bets I placed on Monday, my one loser is the game I am most ecstatic about. Lost Josh Hart over 11.5 points. Thought he'd have a monster game. He did in many respects. Rebounds, assists, defense, facilitating. Didn't need to score because every other Knicks starter went for 20 plus as the New York Knicks take a commanding 3-1 lead into TD Garden, into Boston, going in to Game 5. How about Jalen Brunson going shot for shot with Jason Tatum like it was a Friday night at Marquee in the city and they had a table and bottle service? Jalen Brunson came out like a man possessed in the second half. 18 points in the third quarter. Jason Tatum has one of the best postseason performances of his young, stellar career. And Jalen Brunson says, I am keeping up pace with you because I am defending my home court here at the Mecca. The Knicks were down 14 with 9 minutes to go in the third quarter and outscored the Celtics by 22 the rest of the way. Brunson, Bridges, Anunoby on both sides of the ball were just too much for Boston to handle. That was the difference in this game. Supporting casts. Jason Tatum, I think it's fair to say, had the best game of any individual on the floor. Although Jalen Brunson couldn't miss in the second half. But Jason Tatum, 42 points, 8 boards. I mean, he was a one-man act, right? Maybe not a one-man act. Derek White had a great first half, great first 3 quarters. He calmed down towards the end. Jaylen Brown, if you look at the stat sheet, he has 20 points, had 20 points. He was not efficient from the floor. Jaylen Brown turned the ball over 4 times. It was only 2 of 8 from beyond the arc. This was the Jason Tatum show with a little side of Derek White. The Knicks were the Knicks, right? Jalen Brunson took the lead, but the supporting cast was absolutely stellar. Bridges, Anunoby, both 20-plus points, both great defense. Karl Anthony Towns, 20 and 10. Mitchell Robinson has been as important as anyone to this team this series. And Mitchell Robinson is never going to give you a ton of points, but that's because he knows his role, and he doesn't have to. And this Knicks team, when they can run out Karl Anthony Towns and Mitch together for maybe, I don't know, the dozen or so minutes a game that they do so, they become an absolute matchup nightmare in the post for just about any opponent in the league. And they won't have to worry about that because they're not going to draw Cleveland in the next round. They're going to draw Indiana. And I don't want to, Sharpie the Knicks into the conference finals just yet. We've seen 3-1 comebacks, although I will say with the awful, gut-wrenching Jason Tatum injury, I think that makes it safe to pencil the Knicks in to the conference finals. But Cat Mitch, that going up against Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley, that would be entertaining old school post-play basketball. But it looks like for the second year in a row, we are going to get the reignition of the Knicks and the Indiana Pacers in the second round of the playoffs or later. Is it the 90s all over again? It feels like it. This is the Knicks' biggest win since the 90s. This is the New York Knicks' biggest win in my lifetime watching them. And I may have been born in 98, but realistically speaking, what does that mean? I've been watching the Knicks since 04, right? In my time watching the New York Knicks, the Carmelo Anthony years, Amari Stoudemire, right? This is the New York Knicks' biggest win that I have ever seen. And it was as gutsy and tough a performance as the wins in games 1 and 2. This was more polished of a performance in those games because the Knicks shot a heck of a lot better. It wasn't Boston shooting 25% or worse from 3 like they did combined games 1 and 2. This was Boston shooting near 40% from 3. And the three-pointers stopped falling as the game progressed, as the game got late. But Boston was lights out from 3 in the first half, and the Knicks hung around. They'd go down 10, they'd cut it to 3. They'd go down 11, they'd cut it to 5. And when they went down 14, they turned it on. They flipped a switch. And the New York Knicks turned it on to a level, a caliber of play that even the reigning champs could not keep up with. This team is special. And I discounted them and was ready to say Celtics in 5. I did say Celtics in 5 going into this series. And now it looks like it's going to be the New York Knicks in 5. Game 5 as we await the MRI on Jason Tatum, and it looked grim, that lower body injury that they're calling it right now to the calf area. We await the MRI. We'll get results Tuesday. But the early line Wednesday, Boston laying 5, the Knicks plus $1.65. Spoke about this on yesterday's edition of Cashing Out, that I didn't hate the Knicks plus 220 on the money line. I said I would probably lean towards taking the 6.5 points, but I liked the money line plus 220. Now, plus $1.65, I love the money line for the Knicks to close this one out in Game 5. Jason Tatum, a massive question mark. It looked terrible. Let's hear from Celtics head coach Joe Mazzulla on the injury to Jason Tatum and what this could mean for the remainder of the postseason and Tatum's future.
No, not yet. It was a lower body injury. He's going to get an MRI tomorrow. He's with the doctors now.
Did they ever do any tests on site medically?
I didn't ask him. I just got the update from him. I just asked him how he was doing. So I'll get the MRI tomorrow, and we'll see what it is.
How concerning is that for you guys right now?
Yeah, you're obviously always concerned about someone's health. So it's twofold. We're concerned about his health, where he's at, and then we're concerned about what we have to do better for Game 5 when we get back to Boston.
Joe, was it the Achilles or was it the ankle itself? And was it contact? Because there was some contact.
I have no idea. I got back there, talked to the medical staff. They told me it's a lower body injury, and they're going to get an MRI tomorrow. So, we'll see where it goes from there.
Obviously, that is absolutely tragic, unfortunate news with Jason Tatum. And again, we await the MRI, but it looked awful. It looked, and I don't want to speculate, but it looked like an Achilles. And if that's the case, that is worst case, and that would be disastrous. I don't care how much you might hate the Boston Celtics. If you're a Knicks fan, you don't want to see that. You want to beat Tatum and the Celtics at full strength like the Knicks did Game 4 to beat Boston on a night where Tatum puts up 42. I'll tell you what, to me, that makes the Knicks a legitimate championship contender. A team that went 0-10 regular season against the Celtics, Cavs, and Thunder, who I was saying because of that, they were not legitimate to be taken seriously, title contenders. Well, beating Boston on a night where Tatum throws 42 points up there, that to me makes you a title contender. What a night in sports in the postseason. Minnesota, Ant-Man, answering the bell, 117-110. Golden State made it dicey at the end, late there, if you laid 5.5, 6 with the Timberwolves. I laid 4.5 shortly right before game time. Last minute buzzer beater bet number was 4.5. I took it. Ant-Man puts up 30. Jules Randle with 31 as the Timberwolves used a mind-blowing third quarter, otherworldly 39 points in the third quarter, outscoring Golden State 39-17. They used that as the catalyst for the win. They were down 2 at the half. Golden State outscored them 33-20 in the fourth. Made it close but no cigar. Now the Warriors will have to head to Minnesota down 3-1 and likely, once again, without Steph Curry for Game 5 in Minnesota. The action on the ice was absolutely superb on Monday. And we didn't get nail-biting photo finishes, but what we did get, what I got, couple of winners on the ice. I can't remember the last time I played 2 hockey bets in one day. Alex Ovechkin. I call this the rest stop prop. As I'm driving from California to Vegas, I get out to take a leak. I look, Profit X, you can get Ovechkin to score a goal, plus 180. He's plus 140, plus 150 at most other shops. Put a half a unit on an OV goal plus $1.80, and he gets it on the power play in the third period. Carolina ultimately the 5-2 win. How about the over cashing in? Our buddy Jonathan Davis gave it out yesterday. It took 5 third period goals to get there, but over 5.5 even money cashes, and the Oilers with a shutout win. Stuart Skinner's first of the postseason this year. He improves to 5-0 in Game 4s in his postseason career as the Oilers are in the driver's seat, up 3-1 over Vegas. And I said Edmonton in 6. Shoot, I don't know if the Knights will be able to come home and extend this one anymore. Folks, before the line moves, the sharp plays at sharpplays.com are already there. They don't chase the market, they move it. You're not going to outmuscle billion-dollar books or full-time pros on your own, but with the sharp plays, you don't have to. Powered by cutting-edge AI and trusted insider sources, the Sharp Plays delivers the edge that serious bettors rely on. You'll get free betting reports, real-time alerts, and market-moving insights all delivered via email or Twitter. They're respected, they're watched, they're feared. They're the Sharp Plays. Check them out now at sharpplays.com.
Out here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Cashing Out continues with myself, Joe Ceraulo, taking you into your Tuesday morning for our friends over on the East Coast, on the West Coast out here, late hours of your Monday night, still with you. We have got 2 great games coming up in the NBA on Tuesday. And I think that there is a chance that these numbers, these lines, are a little bigger, a little more lopsided than they should be, especially in that Eastern Conference matchup. Cleveland, Indiana, you've got a Cavaliers team laying 7.5. We just talked about the Boston Celtics and their star player getting hurt. And Jason Tatum's injury, certainly the severity looks and appears to be worse than Donovan Mitchell's injury that kept him out of a second half in a Game 4 where they were down 41 at halftime, in all fairness. But you're telling me Cleveland is going to be laying 7.5, at some shops 8, and we don't know the status of Donovan Mitchell, who was listed as a game-time decision? I've got to take the points with Indiana in this one, don't I? I mean, and look, I might wait, let this one start and look to play it live. But if the Pacers go wire to wire, I'll just have to keep my hands in my pockets. I won't have my opportunity. Maybe the Cavs coming home Game 5, they jump out early. I can get a live double-digit number. But the Pacers are the play. I can't justify pre-flop a play on Cleveland. It's either Pacers plus the 8 pre-flop or wait for a live opportunity. I mean, you've got a fully healthy Indiana team. You might have a pissed off part of this team coming off the bench in Benedict Mathurin, who got ejected Game 4 for the most ticky-tack, unbelievable, sad excuse for a punch you've ever seen. Tell me the officials have never been in a fist fight if you think that was a punch. If you think that was a punch, maybe you got to go get in a barroom brawl yourself, because that was not a punch. That was a love tap that he got ejected for. I think everything points towards Indiana closing this thing out. I mean, plus 250 on the money line is juicy as hell. We are looking at a second round of the NBA playoffs where every series has completed 4 games and road teams are 11-5 straight up. Road teams are 11-5 straight up. For every bit that home ice has mattered in the Stanley Cup playoffs, I mean, think of all the examples, right? Winnipeg, St. Louis, first round, home team won all 7 games. Florida, Toronto going into game 5. Home teams are 2-0 in that series, right? The Oilers on home ice are now 4-1 in 5 tries. Home ice has mattered so much in the Stanley Cup playoffs this year. Over a 60% clip home teams are winning at. In the NBA, it has been the exact opposite. It's been home court disadvantage. Now, there's a contradicting trend that would say play Cleveland in this spot, and that is the zigzag effect that we've also seen so far in the NBA playoffs. So while home teams have suffered terrible fate, especially here in the second round, 5-11 straight up, there has been a big zigzag effect. Now, that didn't exist games 1 and 2 of this series or games 1 and 2 of the Knicks-Celtics series, but we've seen it throughout almost the other entirety of the second round. Every other win, every other cover. So that would back Cleveland, but I just can't. After watching what I saw, sure, they got back Mobley and Garland and Hunter, and then they won by 22 game 3, and then they lost by 41 game 4. And I say that intentionally, because I know the final score that they lost by 20, but it was all reserves in the second half. Most of Indiana's starters didn't even play 25 minutes. That was a 41-point loss because it was over when it was 80-39 at halftime. So that's a 41-point loss, game 4, by the Cavs at the hands of Indiana. And I have not seen DeAndre Hunter look like DeAndre Hunter this series. And Evan Mobley looked really good game 3. Game 4, no one looked good for Cleveland. Donovan Mitchell has been the only guy the Cavs can rely on game in and game out. And if Donovan Mitchell is not 100%, if Donovan Mitchell is not 85%, I can't back what looks like a defeated and at times a depleted Cleveland Cavaliers team. I think we're headed towards, and this is not a hot take, both teams are up 3-1, but who would have thought coming into the postseason when everyone said, it's Cleveland-Boston, just send them to the conference finals, this is why we play the games. Because I think we're headed towards a Knicks-Pacers conference final, and I think there's a chance both teams could clinch it on the road game 5. I've been screaming Knicks in 6 when it comes to that series, but now with this awful Jason Tatum news, I don't think the Celtics are going to do it. I don't think the Celtics can do it. Porzingis is far from 100%. Tatum likely going to be out. I mean, look at these money lines for the 2 teams up 3-1 in the Eastern Conference. Indiana's plus 235 to 250, depending on where you shop. The Knicks plus $1.65 or so, depending on where you shop. I think there's a chance both of those plus money dogs up 3-1 in their respective series win it outright on the road. How about the Nuggets and the Thunder? These games could not be more different as the series progresses, right? You get the Nuggets with the stellar Cinco de Mayo comeback game 1, and then Oklahoma City runs them out the damn gym to the tune of a 47-point win game 2. They go to Denver game 3. Thunder squander the lead. Nuggets come back, force OT, win it, go up 2-1. Boom, right there, your Nuggets plus 2.5 cashes. If you tailed me on that, plus 115 for Denver in the series, plus 2.5 games. That cashed after 3 games. Then game 4, the Nuggets come out sleepwalking. But the problem is Oklahoma City did too. The Thunder could have stepped on their throats in the opening 12 minutes, gone up 20. Easily they could have gone up 20 in the first quarter. but they didn't. To hold the Nuggets to 8 points and be up single digits after the first quarter was inexcusable. And frankly, Denver outplayed Oklahoma City in the middle 2 quarters there, second and third. But OKC, to their credit, they finished strong on a day where neither team shot well, and now they're going home. I don't know if I can lay that number, but I certainly think the Thunder win. I think this is going to go 7. A lot of people are saying that the Nuggets gear up for the funeral, that OKC is going to rattle off 3 straight here and win it in 6. I think the home team is going to win each of the final 3 games. Despite the home court disadvantage that we've discussed, I like the Thunder in Game 5, but I think Denver is going to be more competitive than people are giving them credit for. They're nowhere near as deep or as balanced or as good of a team as Oklahoma City, but guys, they got the best player in the world on their side. And when he put on that Joker outfit to walk in through the tunnel for Game 3, if you were a Thunder -5.5 backer, you must have felt a knot in your stomach seeing Jokic walk out dressed like the Joker. He means business. And he is one of the few guys on the planet who can single-handedly take a less than satisfactory at times supporting cast and will them to victory over a much better, complete, well-rounded squad that is the Oklahoma City Thunder. I don't think the Nuggets are done. It's going to be a hell of an uphill battle. I think the Thunder win it, but I think they win it in 7, and I'll tell you what, I don't think this is going to look all that much like Game 2. I think the offense is going to be cleaner and prettier than it was in Game 4, but I don't know if I could lay 10.5 with Oklahoma City. If anything, while I think they win, I lean towards taking the 10.5 points with Denver in that game. Folks, the NFL schedule release is coming out Wednesday, May 14th, but they're making us nibble. They're breadcrumbing us, to use a psychological term that you may or may not have heard of. Little bits and pieces of the schedule coming out here and there, and we know opening night that it, for the first time in week 1 in 25 years, is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys. And the Eagles are laying 7 in that opening night contest. Dare I say that might be too many? I mean, look, I'm not running to the counter to place a bet on a week 1 game just yet. I think if you do that now, maybe you call the hotline. But I think that might be too many points. I mean, Dak Prescott's going to be playing, not Cooper Rush, right? CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens. This Cowboys offense can put up points. They're nothing to scoff at. And one thing I've noticed in terms of trends in recent years is that with the shortened preseason and now virtually no starters playing in the preseason anymore, whereas they used to play a little bit of week 3 and they used to play week 4, now they virtually sit the entire preseason out. It takes defenses a while to get going. Eagles defense stunk last September, ended up being the best defense in football. I think the over 46.5 at first glance might be where I go week 1, September 4th, Cowboys-Eagles.
Welcome back to Cashing Out here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Cashing Out continues with me, Joe Ceraulo, taking you through the late hours of your Monday night, right on into your Tuesday morning for our friends over on the East Coast. And right now, taking you over to the progressive guest line. The NBA playoffs are heating the heck up. Who better to break it down with than VSiN senior editor, our buddy Zach Cohen, right now with us on Cashing Out. Zach, how are you, my man? How have you been enjoying these second round games? I need your reaction to Knicks-Celtics Game 4 at MSG. The Garden was rocking, man. What did you see in that game?
I mean, that was an awesome game. What Jalen Brunson did late in the game to steal it was incredible. Tatum, before he got injured, was playing maybe the best game I've seen him play in the playoffs, but Brunson came up with bigger shots when he needed to, and I thought that New York just, played really well in this game. I think this is the first game that you could really say the Knicks, had a clean, deserved win in the series, but it, couldn't have come at a better time. Now they really should win this series. I can't see, Boston winning 3 in a row without Tatum.
Yeah, and it's crazy because I agree with you 1,000% that this is maybe the first time you say the Knicks played a clean game. They still came back from, a 14, 16-point deficit in the third quarter. It just wasn't another 20-point deficit, so it never felt out of reach because it never exceeded 20 points. I mean, they still were the comeback kids in this one. It was just a ridiculous performance. But Jason Tatum, you mentioned the injury there. I mean, we obviously are awaiting MRI results. Tatum's going to get them on Tuesday. And, I mean, this looked really bad, right? Do you foresee Jason Tatum returning this series, or do you think his season might be done? What do you think about Game 5 early odds from the betting perspective?
Yeah, I don't see him coming back. I like to consider myself a good Twitter doctor, and I've seen some videos of that calf popping already. So I do think he tore his Achilles, honestly. He kind of looked exactly like the Damian Lillard injury, almost the same exact shot. So I'd be surprised if we see him. I do think maybe we see Boston win Game 5. Just, it is a zigzag theory at play here where I believe they opened as -5 favorites. I'm not sure
still there.
That's where they would be. Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I know. I was saying they're still there, as in they're still -5.
Oh, okay. I thought you were asking me if I'm still here. Yeah, I just think that spread is baking in the desperation for Boston, as we've seen throughout the NBA playoffs with teams being inflated at home, coming off of losses.
Yeah, speaking of that zigzag theory and Game 5's Indiana-Cleveland coming up, I mean, the Cavs are laying 7.5. We still don't know much about Donovan Mitchell's health and availability. My guess, and this is like you said with the Twitter doctor thing, this is just completely my guess. I think Mitchell's going to go because they're facing elimination, but I think he's going to be far from 100%. And to have Cleveland, I know that they're at home. Home court's been a disadvantage this second round of the NBA playoffs. To have them laying 7.5, I don't know. Do you go with the road team in this one, that trend, or do you go with the zigzag trend? Which side are you on here?
I'm not taking a side in this game. If I was taking one, I'd probably go with the zigzag trend and lay the points with the Cavs. Ooh. I agree with you. I think Mitchell's going to be out there, and I think that this Cleveland team is going to believe that they can win 3 in a row. They have a much better shot at doing it than Boston does, especially, obviously, if Mitchell is healthy. We saw the Cavaliers absolutely rock them in that Game 3, so they know that they are, probably a better team when they are playing their best basketball. Having said that, the only thing I have in this game is Miles Turner to go over 6.5 rebounds. He's had 7+ in 3 of the 4 games in this series, also averaging 15+ rebound chances. I just think that he's been looking really good on the boards. He knows kind of the task at hand going against Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. And he even said after Game 4 that Rick Carlisle kind of ripped them after that Game 3 performance, and he looks motivated and ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, Turner definitely, him and Spicy P down low left a lot to be desired. Game 3, they answered the call. Game 4, everyone on Indiana answered the call. Game 4 in that blowout win, which, it was a 20-point final. That game was much more than a 20-point game with the 41-point halftime lead there. Game 4, assuming it's Indiana-New York conference finals. Now, obviously, neither series is over yet. But how do you see the Eastern Conference shaking out when it seemed like it was a foregone conclusion before the playoffs? Everyone thought it was Cleveland-Boston.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough to call. I'm going to need to see a price on it before I make up my mind, because heading into the playoffs, I had Indiana rated a little bit better than New York just based off, December on trends at cleaning the glass, seeing, the Pacers after their slow start to the season were the 6th best team in the league in efficiency differential. New York was around 10th to 12th in pretty much everything, offensive rating, defensive rating. So I kind of thought Indiana was the better team. Having said that, I have to decide how I want to consider what New York just did to Boston, assuming they do win the series, and figure out which team I like better. I mean, I will say we saw them play last year. The Knicks looked like the better team until those injuries kind of piled up. And New York is the team that made more, sizable offseason moves. So I would say that the rotation pieces for New York looks a little bit better. I do think Carlisle's a better coach than Thibodeau, and I think the Pacers play with a little more purpose on both ends of the floor. I just have to kind of sit down and think about it. I do think that if I get Pacers plus 160 or better, I would take that. And I think it's not crazy to think that, just because, there is usually a tax baked into New York series. Right. But if it's shorter than that, it'll be tough to call.
Not crazy at all. They duked it out for 7 last year. And to your point, the Knicks did get hammered as the series progressed with injuries after their 2-0 lead. But, I mean, Indiana ultimately won the series a year ago. They're certainly, if you can point to one area of this Indiana team and say that there's no doubt they have the advantage over the Knicks, it's depth. They've got more depth than New York. They've got more depth than maybe anyone in the East. We thought that was Cleveland. Indiana's bench has been outplaying Cleveland's bench this series. I mean, I love it, man. It's like the rivalry from the 90s, late 90s is back. Knicks Pacers, we could get them in the playoffs, second round or later, 2 years in a row. Zach, let's shift Western Conference here. Nuggets Thunder, Game 5 in OKC. You know, I said going into Game 2, I would lay the 10.5 with Oklahoma City, and they won by 47. I'm hesitant to lay the 10 with them in this spot. I think they win. My lean is Nuggets. I'm curious how you see this game.
I lean Thunder. I don't know if I want to lay the points either. I'm going to end up taking the over on the team total of 115.5.
Ooh.
I know that we've seen some unders over these last 2 games, but I do think, you know, with an inexperienced team like the Thunder, which they are, I know they were unbelievable during the regular season, but outside of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, there's nobody on the team that you could really trust on a nightly basis in the postseason. It's tough to go to Denver with that type of group and shoot well. We saw in games 1 and 2, this team lit up the scoreboard. Even in the loss in game 1, they put up 119. I think that those shooters that they have that are a little bit inconsistent will be a lot better off at the Paycom Center. And I do think that the Nuggets are still vulnerable defensively. It looked a lot better at Ball Arena, but this is a team that was bottom 10 in the league in adjusted defensive rating, you know, after the All-Star break. It's not a group that I trust on that end of the floor. So I think we're going to see the guys outside of Shai, like Jalen Williams, like Lou Dort, knock down their threes, help out with the floor spacing. They had a really high expected points per possession in game 4 and just did not live up to it. I know that they won that game. They clawed it away. That was really impressive for a young team, but I think we're going to see kind of a really good offensive performance finally in game 5.
Yeah, it was an impressive comeback, but I think what got overshadowed by the Nuggets' 8-point first quarter was that Oklahoma City's offense was not much better early on. They could have asserted themselves with a massive lead to only be up 9, 17-8 after the first quarter. I think spoke to their own offensive issues, and maybe it was the early start coming off Friday night's overtime game, but that wasn't a pretty game offensively for either side. I like your team total play here. Zach, before we let you go, we got about 90 seconds here. I have to ask you, can we officially use the R word on air? Can we say that the NBA lottery is rigged after the Dallas Mavericks get the number 1 pick?
It's tough. I mean, it's so hard to make an argument that it wasn't. I mean, I'm going to say that it wasn't, but I will say, like, it's absolutely insane what we saw happen in the lottery. Seeing the Mavericks get the number 1 pick, I can't think of a person that deserved it less than Nico Harrison after shipping Luka Doncic away, but I do think the Mavericks fans maybe did deserve that bit of good fortune. They have been about as depressed as anybody this entire NBA season, so I think getting Flag there is going to help things, smooth things over. I do think that team on paper with Flag is definitely a title contender next year. You know, assuming Kyrie Irving comes back healthy after that torn ACL, that's a really good looking starting 5 with Kyrie, Christie, Flag, AD, and Lively. Like, that's going to be a number 1 adjusted defensive rating team in the league at some point. I don't know how fast it's going to be. And then they do have some guys to go out there and get some buckets with Kyrie and AD. So I love the way that team's going to look with Flag. And I will say I'm expecting some trades out of the Spurs and Sixers because those are win now teams, in my opinion. I don't think they're going to want to make those picks.
I cannot wait to have you back on as we get closer to the draft and break down how we think it's going to all shake out after Cooper Flag goes number 1 inevitably to Dallas. Zach, appreciate the time, man. Thanks so much for hopping on.
Thank you.
VSiN senior editor Zach Cohen. Make sure you follow him on Twitter at BettingOnX. And folks, smarter bets start right here, and they last all year long with VSiN Pro. For a limited time, we're slashing the price of our annual subscription. Normally $240, now just $1.99. And when you sign up today, we're going to throw in 2 extra months for free. That's 14 months VSiN Pro access for less than 50 cents a day when you use the promo code PRO. Get 14 months of access to our daily best bets from hosts and guests, exclusive splits from DraftKings and Circa, 24/7 live video and full show replays on the VSiN Watch app, plus all of our special edition betting guides. Just head to VSiN.com/subscribe now, promo code PRO, and lock in your 14 months of VSiN Pro for just $1.99. That's VSIN.com/subscribe.
out here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Cashing Out continues with me, Joe Ceraulo, getting you ready for your Tuesday in the world of sports, and it's going to be tough to top the Monday we turned in. How about it? 6-1 on our bets Monday. The VSiN Daily Morning Bets go 4-1, added 2 more. I call them rest stop props on my drive from Los Angeles to Vegas Monday morning. Ovechkin to score a goal, half a unit plus $1.80. We cashed that. Added the Wolves minus 4.5 right before game time, and that hits. Ended up getting dicey late. They were up, over 20? Going into the fourth quarter. Golden State outscores them 33-20 in the fourth. Has a buzzer beater 3 that would have made me a loser on the hook miss at the end there. Minnesota really took that fourth quarter off, but they win by 7. We go 6-1, have ourselves a day, and we're going to get to more best bets for Tuesday here shortly. Before we do that, I do want to touch on something that I briefly just discussed with our guy Zach Cohen. The NBA lottery. And I hate to use the R word, especially on air, but I think with something like the lottery, and I'll never say this about a game result, I think we can say the lottery might get rigged, maybe manipulated at times. Look at this history of the NBA lottery. When a player immediately gets traded from a team, Cavs, or in this case not traded, the Cavs lose LeBron James, and then they win the lottery, get Kyrie Irving. The Pelicans trade Chris Paul away. They win the lottery immediately after. By the way, after they traded Anthony Davis away out of New Orleans, they won the lottery. Then the Mavs make the worst trade arguably in NBA history. Nico Harrison looks completely incompetent, is completely incompetent, and they win the lottery with a 1.8% chance. I'm sorry to say this on a national platform, but I struggle with the legitimacy of the lottery when a big market like Dallas, a top 5 market in this country, makes a disastrous move and trades their franchise player away to the biggest team, you can argue, biggest franchise in league history, right? The Lakers. And then, after the fan base is threatening to cancel season tickets and everyone wants Nico Harrison's head on a silver platter, the Dallas Mavericks get the number 1 overall pick with a 1.8% chance. You have a 1.92% chance of drawing any specific random card out of a deck of cards. You have a better chance of doing that than the Mavericks had at winning the lottery. And it's not the first time we've seen a team who had no business winning the lottery win the lottery. I'm sorry. Go back to you have the worst record, you draft first. That's the way it should be. Not the Mavericks, who were in the play-in to potentially make the playoffs, getting the number 1 overall pick. That is absolutely absurd. And the Sixers, too, getting rewarded for a joke of a year, while Charlotte, Utah, and Washington are behind them at 4, 5, and 6. I think the draft order in the NBA has become absolutely absurd. You know what else is kind of absurd, if we're being honest? The way that the NFL breadcrumbs the release of the schedule. I mean, they have to make everything a spectacle. We get it. You're the NFL. NFL is king in this industry we call sports media. But my goodness, it's a schedule release. We already know who everyone's playing. Are we really going to make a whole show and a whole spectacle of when they're playing said opponents who we already know? I mean, at some point, we got the NBA playoffs, the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs, baseball's in full swing. Let other sports have their moment. Let them have a few months. But no, the NFL is that attention-seeking girl you went to high school with who just saw that you're in a relationship and now all of a sudden goes, hey, remember me? Hey, look at me. I need your attention and your validation. That's what the NFL is during the offseason. But they've released a few breadcrumbs, and we know what opening night is going to look like. Eagles, Cowboys. I'm not going to lie, I love it. I was secretly hoping for Eagles versus the Commanders. Give me Jalen Hurts. Give me Jaden Daniels. Primetime standalone. We're going to get that Week 16 on a Saturday now. But we get the Eagles and the Cowboys, one of the best, most historic rivalries in this league. First time it's happened Week 1 in 25 years. And the Eagles are laying 7. I'll tell you what. With what we've seen historically since the preseason got shortened, small sample size, but I think we've seen enough of it. Defense stinks the first month of the season. It takes these defenses a while to get going, and I'm not comfortable laying 7 with the Eagles. You're going to have a healthy Dak Prescott. You're going to have a great wide receiver, too, in George Pickens making his team debut on primetime opening night. I think the Cowboys are going to put up some points. I don't know if I want to touch that number because I could see it landing on that number when things are said and done. But I think if you're looking for some early action Week 1, that total, 46.5, is not going to be available when the calendar hits September. I like the early over 46.5 because I think that number is going to be 48 or 48.5 when Week 1 finally does roll around. All right, we need some more immediate gratification. We can't be betting games on September 4th here when it's mid-May. Let's dive into Tuesday's slate. Let's kick off the VSiN Daily Morning Bets. We're starting with the Pacers, +8, Game 5 at Cleveland. Look, I really think Indiana puts the Cavs out of their misery. I think they take them out behind the barn in this Game 5. +250 on the money line with an injured Donovan Mitchell, whether he plays or not, is so enticing. But I'm going to play it a little safe here and take more than a touchdown with the Pacers catching 8. I mean, what you saw from Cleveland Game 4 was so demoralizing. And Mitchell not being able to come out for the second half, and even if he was able to, not needing to because that game was already done with at halftime, 80-39. Indiana is beating the Cavs at their own game. They've got more depth. Their bigs have finally awoken. That was one, I would say, pretty clear advantage Cleveland had. In Game 4, that advantage disappeared. Indiana's out shooting them. If Donovan Mitchell doesn't put up 50, the Cavs don't have a chance. And Mitchell might be 50% for this Game 5. Give me the Pacers, +8 at Cleveland. Over on the diamond, got 2 plays surrounding 2 stud left-handed pitchers. And the first one might not be a household name. Andrew Abbott, he's a stud. Give me over 5.5 Ks for the Cincinnati Reds starter at +$1.25 taking on the White Sox. Now, he's only gone over this mark twice. But both of those performances, he went way over this mark. He had 11 strikeouts at Baltimore, and he had 8 his last time out at Atlanta. His Ks per 9 this year are glowing. 31 Ks, 24 innings pitched. Even when he's gone under this mark, he has still pitched to about a K per inning. The problem with him has been length and duration. That's been his only question mark. However, going up against the White Sox lineup that I would not call a strenuous lineup to face. So if he can go 5, he should be able to get us 6 strikeouts at a plus money price I love. White Sox bottom 10 in K rate this year. Over 9 strikeouts per game on the road this year. I was looking at under 2.5 earned runs. I can't lay 45 cents for that at Cincinnati in that ballpark. However, here's another sexy play that is only available at a few books, but I really am intrigued by. 2-1 Andrew Abbott to get the win. 2-0 this year in 5 starts. Give us 5+ innings. Have the bats come alive against Jonathan Cannon. +205 to get the win. Really sexy. But I'm going +125 over 5.5 Ks. Final best bet, Yankees, money line. You can get it -135. Get it early because that's going to get steamed at Seattle. Max Fried has quietly been the best pitcher in baseball this year. Since April 1st, he's 6-0. In 47 innings pitched since April 1st, he's allowed just 4 earned runs. It's a .77 ERA. The whip in that time span is 0.8. Current Mariners hitters against him, just 4 for 42. It's a sub-100 average. It may be time to take Max Fried 6-1 in the AL Cy Young race because he has been the best pitcher in baseball. And that'll do it for the VSiN Daily Morning Bets. Folks, remember, Best bets are brought to you by our friends at GBank. Get the GBank Visa Signature Card today. Most credit cards treat sportsbook and gaming transactions like cash advances, even when you put your own money on the card. GBank treats gaming transactions like purchases, so you're saving up to 3 to 5% on cash advance fees on gaming transactions right there. Also with GBank, you're earning 1% cash back rewards on all eligible sportsbook and gaming transactions and 2% cashback rewards on all eligible purchases. Apply now at VSiN.com/GBank. That'll do it for another terrific edition. How about it? 6-1 with our 7 Bets Monday of Cashing Out with Joe Ceraulo. Couldn't do it alone, though. Thanks to our terrific team, our sensational producer, Jared Moore, the rest of our squad on the other side of the glass, Corey, Jarens, Alexis, and Chris. That'll do it for Cashing Out. I'm Joe Ceraulo. Let's do it again, Damani.